evening. Let's set that to live chat. Maybe bring this down a little bit there. There we go. Hello, and welcome to our Thursday night no-fee Tai Chi. Thank you very much for joining me. Tonight, we're going to go over a couple of things that have been on my mind as of late, stuff I've been teaching my students, and figure I'll let you in on it. But to start off, because we haven't done it in a little while, and I always like to reinforce just how important it is to do your standing meditation, to do your hugging a tree. We're going to start off today's class by hugging a tree. And to do that, we're going to get into our proper Mabu horse riding stance. Just a medium stance, not too far apart, not too wide, anything like that. And let's set a 5-minute timer here. And we breathe in and out. And breathe in, sinking into our Mabu stance. Remaining tall through the top of the head. The top of our head goes up, as do the corners of our mouth. And those are the only 3 points that resist gravity. Everything else hangs down. And you breathe. And I know this is boring work. And it's grueling work. But it's just so important. Everything stems from this. Just keep relaxing. Keep letting all the stress dissolve. All the tension in your body that shows up. Just let it change shape and move and sink and fall down into the earth. Just because you're still on the outside doesn't mean you can't be moving on the inside, letting things change and shift. Oh, excuse me. Well, as my first teacher, Sifu Eric Eastman, always used to say, if you aren't farting, you aren't relaxed enough. Just be thankful you're on the other side of the internet now. It smells terrible. Remember to smile. Remember to breathe. And there we go, 5 minutes. Take a nice deep breath in and out. Breathing in and out. And pressing up out of the earth. We stand tall, letting our legs straighten but not lock. Keep our pelvis nice and flat and level. Weight evenly distributed on our feet, tall through the top of the head. And there we go. So that's 5 minutes of standing, and hopefully you can figure out a way to get at least 5 minutes of standing in per day. Eventual goal I'd like you to all try and work up to is 15 to 20 minutes a day, every single day. But take your time getting there. There's no hurry. You don't need to rush it by any stretch of the imagination. You're going to be doing it the rest of your life. If you do it, how I recommend. It is the most profound exercise you can do. It will change your life. Your life will get easier. You'll move better. You'll be calmer. Just endless benefits to it. And especially if you combine it with some kind of a movement practice. And whatever that practice is, whatever you enjoy, whatever makes your chi go, do that thing. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit about single leg stances. And most of the stances we take in our Tai Chi practice are going to be double leg, quite rooted stances, sort of fairly locked in for our, stand-up grappling type stuff where we want to be able, or push hands where we want to be able to do this sort of thing, right? There's a few places in the form, though, where we definitely do a single leg stance. And I suppose the not so dirty secret is anytime we step, we are always stepping through single leg stances. Anytime a foot comes up, we have to be very well rooted on one leg to be able to move our other one and place it down where we need to go. So there's a couple of stances that are very common to see. One is going to be from something like our lift hands or our play the guitar in a yang style Tai Chi, where we are fully rooted on one leg, the knee is bent, our front leg comes forward, and we are either placing it down with the heel down on the ground and no weight on the leg, can be lifted freely and easily, or we have the toe down on the ground, and again, there is no weight on this leg. And we're quite commonly going to see that with our hands, something like this, or maybe something like this, right? The other one that we will see from time to time is a golden pheasant stands on one leg. And that one, we're actually picking our knee right up off the ground, getting nice and tall. And for this one, rather than having the knee bent down low, we want to be up, nice and tall and stretched up. Our toes are lifted on this, so we're lifting up our toes, helping to pull up our knee nice and high. And those are the main ones you are going to see. Basically, lift hands, strum the guitar, white crane, golden pheasant. The one that rarely gets mentioned is something called nail stance. And that's because nail stance usually winds up being a transition. So for our nail stance, yeah, I'm realizing again, I should probably move this mat anytime I'm talking about stances. Excuse me. Get that out of the way. A little easier to see the feet. Nail stances tend to happen as a transition. So if I'm doing a Tai Chi walk, right, and it doesn't really matter the move, right, and I come back, as I transition through here, my foot comes up, and as it comes closest to my standing leg, it is in a nail stance. And the nail just means that this foot is going to be basically straight up and down, driving like it would be nailing it straight into the ground. Now, that is a very traditional kung fu version of it, where we worry about the foot being straight up and down, and we would also usually have this leg be quite bent. So we come in very tight here. We want to be nice and low as we can as we do this. But it's always sort of on the way to my next step. Or perhaps it is coming up and then I change my feet to do something else and then take another step, right? Or, you know, you bring it up, you step down, and you step. That sort of thing. So it's a very useful step in basically transitioning through and also being able to change that transition, to change distance, to change relative distance to your opponent or Tai Chi partner, right? So for instance, if I am here and I step forward come through my nail stance, and I keep going, doing my regular Tai Chi type step, I wind up kind of there, that distance. However, if I'm in my Tai Chi here, my bow and arrow, and I nail stance there, transitioning here, I step out there. So this allows me to move and shift into different ranges, change angles, however I like, because this nail stance, while it does come up right into my instep here anytime I'm doing a form, it can really go anywhere, right? So I can nail stance out to the side here, a little further apart, out, Might be easier to see here. So yeah, normal nail stance there, or nail stance out here. That changes where I can go there, right? Gives me more diagonal distance here. Perhaps I want to be able to redirect. So the nail stance can come right up to my instep. It can come to the heel and go up to the toe, and go past the toe, and then we're pretty much into our, single-legged stances anyways. But that nail, that idea of this foot being able to go pretty much anywhere and then just stop and then transition and change weight is really the idea with a nail step. It also has a couple of other sort of cool benefits to it when we start talking about kicking, and that is by coming up onto the toe here, this is basically chambering my knee so that all I would have to do is pick this nail straight up and my leg is in a nice chamber move. So I can take my step here, bring it in and up, allowing me to kick. Also just knee. Right? And by transitioning through a nail and then popping it up, basically right at the end, it keeps it very low down, sort of in the periphery, and especially if we're doing stuff with our hands up here, maybe our opponent isn't going to notice this knee sneaking in, ready to just go and make them into a soprano. So lots of benefits to doing a nail stance, or at the very least being aware that it exists in our Tai Chi forms. One of the things I am a big advocate of is once you learn a form, start pulling it apart. Look at every little detail, examine everything you possibly can, try it out in all sorts of different ways. And one of the things I'm really trying to do with this series is hopefully give you a bunch of ideas to play with so that you can start working on your own form and start pulling it apart and picking it into pieces and seeing all the various components and what it does and, how to mix them up in different ways. You could liken it to cooking. You learn your basic ingredients and how to, chop or clean or whatever, prepare a few things, and you do it in a few different dishes. And then eventually, once you get the hang of it, then you can start mixing and matching ingredients or preparation styles and, create your own fusion restaurant. And that, to me, is just so much fun when you start doing that with your Tai Chi practice. It becomes your practice, not just the thing the teacher does and I'm following along with it. And it's when you start really exploring it and finding out cool stuff for yourself. It's so much fun. I hope I can inspire you to do that. And if you got any ideas for anything that you would like to see me rip apart, pull apart, investigate in this series, just fire it down in the comments. I'd be happy to do that. Let's see. Right. How do we go about training our single leg stances? That is kind of why I started with this. Because when it comes right down to it, you train the single leg stances the same way, which is time. You just spend time doing it. So I do a practice on this channel. It's going to be transplanted over the other channel, balance challenge, where I'm using these Weeble boards over here. But one of the first practices I do in that is just holding my white crane spreads its wings. And that is rear leg on a 45, knee bent, Front foot down on the toe, no weight on the leg. Rear leg has the weight, so that hand is up, and my front hand is brushed off to the side. White crane spreads her wings. Very simple. But then you set, a 1-minute timer. And you have to hang out here and just breathe. It really helps to have sort of a focal point for yourself, just something you can lock your eyes to. Pick a spot on the wall in front of you. Narrow down your vision as tiny as you can possibly get it to that spot, whatever it is. Now, that's another thing I got to talk about. Perhaps another night. I'll get into that one. But there we go. 1 minute. That's 1 minute on one leg. Then we do 1 minute on this leg. Doing all the same stuff that we do when we hug a tree, doing our standing meditation. So we're still tall through the top of our head, still remembering to smile, but everything else is hanging. 100% of our weight is on our rear leg. Our front leg still should be able to pick it up. Basically no effort. It's nice and light. And there we go. 1 minute. And I'm willing to bet that if you did that 1 minute with me on each leg, the 5 minutes that we did at the beginning is much easier. It is a much steeper incline working single leg stances. But any of the stances that you do for single leg training is probably worth it, whatever your favorite one is. I wouldn't go super heavy into it. You probably only need one. There is a famous story of Yang Cheng Fu, who was Yang Luchan's grandson. I might have mentioned this in the previous week's class, but if I didn't, or this is your first one, the founder of Yang style Tai Chi, his grandson needed to vastly improve his Tai Chi skills. He's carrying on the legacy. And he decided he would do 2 stances to improve his Tai Chi skills and make them, just like superstar, he's the master, rada, rada, rada. And those 2 stances he decided on, I believe, if I am correct, it's been a while since I looked this up, but was a single whip, which is a 2-legged stance. And he really liked this nice open shoulder aspect thing that was going on here. He really liked the opening of that. That one felt very good to him, apparently. And then the other one he did was a golden pheasant stance on one leg, which in his particular Yang style Tai Chi, that one would have been a little more like this. And as Yang Cheng Fu got older, he also got wider. And so if you see pictures of him later on in life, It's a little more like this is golden pheasant. Now, but the idea is the same. Even if you're not pulling your knee all the way up or whatnot, you are getting that 100% rear weighted and you are lifting through your other leg. And then you just have an arm up and another arm casually at your side. Right? But just holding this for a minute and then working your way up until you can do it longer and longer and longer and longer, it will actually pretty vastly improve your Tai Chi skills. I am a firm believer in those one-legged stances and stance training in general, but there is something truly special about doing one-legged stances. If you want to work on your nail stance, there is great movement in Tai Chi, great posture to hold, is pick up needle at C bottom. And that's another one of those moves that just seems to show up in every single style of Tai Chi, so it's probably one of the OG moves. But that one, you know, we are in a nail stance, sinking low, and in this case, might be easier for you to see here, but there is my pickup needle at C bottom. So you can hang out in something like this for a minute. And yeah, your leg's going to be screaming at you. And at that end, at the end of that minute, you're probably going to be hesitant about switching to the other leg. But man, does it work. It works so well for you. It speeds up your progress like you just wouldn't believe. If you can hold those things for like a couple of minutes here or there on either side, anytime you take a step, anytime you have to do a movement where, you know, you're stepping and this is like normally sort of unbalanced and you're like, yeah, and maybe your leg wants to shoot out, like, please just let me get some more balance there, right? To be able to continue on doing your Tai Chi and sort of breaking that when one part moves, all parts move sort of tenet. You see a lot of Tai Chi practitioners going foot, right? As opposed to when one part moves, all parts move. So there is a different quality to the movement when you can do that, when everything is moving together. And to give yourself the balance and the strength and the rooting in that leg as we transition through into our various movements. All right. Give us this sort of capability. It's time spent on one leg. How are we doing here for time? About a half an hour in. Okay. I'm just going to check the chat here. I don't know if anybody's actually chatted anything. If anybody's got questions, stuff they want to cover. Don't see it. Oh, I'm not sure what I did there. Okay. Anyways. Oh. Not sure. A couple people there. All right. Well, if you got any questions, shoot them in the chat. Let's continue on with some of our one-legged stances. Let's go for our, let's see, did we do, yeah, we did our white crane. Let's do our lift hands. So lift hands, 1 minute. So again, 100% rear weighted. Front leg, no weight on it. Then you hang out, and you breathe, and you relax. And various body parts, usually your legs, start screaming at you in various places. And you go, yeah, that hurts. And you keep smiling. And your head keeps going up. And you go, yeah, relax, 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 relax. There we go, 1 minute, not so bad. Let's lift hands. And there's another minute. Not so bad. Getting easier, right? Maybe not. Initially, it's a lot of work. You do not think that you will be able to relax through it, but trust me, you can. It's just going to take time. You're going to have to let things change, let things align in your system to just be able to relax. When the forces start mainly going through like your bones and it doesn't feel like your muscles are involved, that's kind of what we're going for here. I suppose eventually it shouldn't even feel like that, but initially, yeah, it's you let stuff get lined up. So you're probably going to be like wiggling in your hip and my knee and got to get that in the right place, and trying to always feel that your weight is centered on your foot so it's evenly distributed all the way around, and gripping with your toes and doing all that good stuff that's in our stances playlist. And I will be expanding the stances playlist coming up, so there's going to be a bunch more stuff on the single-legged stance if you want to do deep dives on each one of these. It's coming. Okay, let's stop practicing that for a minute. So one of the other super cool things about the single-leg stances is once you have that kind of balance and that freedom of movement to be able to move your leg around, you can start doing kicks. And there is a saying, Chinese martial arts, every step is a kick, every kick is a step. Basically means anytime you take a step, you could also be kicking something. And anytime that in a form that you are practicing kicking something, that could also just be a step. It doesn't have to be a kick. Whatever hand technique or whatever is going along with it, you can do it without the kick, right? So my favorite kick, and what I would consider the most important kick, is actually pretty simple. Theoretically, it's nothing fancy, it's nothing flashy, but oh boy, does it work. It is just so good. It is worth spending some time doing. And all I'm going to do is place my rear foot on a 45 degree, be able to transfer all of my weight to that leg. My free leg is in somewhat of a nail stance, but it's probably just, a little more of a casual version of a nail. I like treating Tai Chi stuff as very casual, especially when talking about kicking someone down there. I want to be very casual about the thing. I don't want them to know I'm about to kick them. Maybe that's just me. So, rear leg, 45 degrees, front leg, casual nail stance. And the first thing I want to do is simply just pick my knee up, let it swing forward, and have it feel like there is a weight holding down my toe. So from the side, rear leg 45 degrees, casual nail stance. And I want to let my knee swing forward and up, feeling like there is a weight hanging off of my toe. Not a super heavy weight, but just enough to keep it down. So I want that super casual. Like you could just sort of step in and the leg just swings up, super loose and relaxed, right? Like just putting no effort into this whatsoever, right? Just so you can just casually sort of stroll in and turn someone into a soprano, right? Especially if you're doing stuff up here, right? Hey, look at the hand. Ah. So that's step one. Nice and casual. Just knee swings through. Right? Nice and loose and relaxed. You can feel that ball and socket joint in the hip just, right? It should just feel nice and loose and circular. Once we have that feeling that we can stand still on one leg and lift our knee up, super casual and relaxed, not have it affect our balance or make us go, anything like that. It's nice and loose and casual, right? From here, what we can do is we can change the placement of that weight in our toe and direct it back towards the heel. That's going to give an effect like knee comes up, weight in the toe, and then as I change that weight, letting the heel drop. So it's like the heel falls faster than the toe. Right? Feel the weight in the toe. As my leg falls, the heel falls a little bit faster. And I want to let it feel like the heel is going straight down. I want to just let gravity take that heel down. As my leg straightens, it gives a little at the end, but that's what we're going for here. Up on the toe, or toe hanging down, I should say. And then as this drops, the heel, the weight goes through that. And again, I want basically no effort into this thing, right? So it's up, weight through the toe, weight through the heel, weight through the toe, weight through the heel, weight through the toe, weight through the heel. Okay, so super loose and relaxed. I don't know, this always reminds me of tap dancing. It's probably a tap dance move where you do that sort of thing, right? But I want to have that sort of looseness about it. This comes up. So super loose, super casual, super relaxed. Next thing I want to be able to do with that is I want to be able to rotate through my hip at any point. Basically, as I want to be able to spiral this kick. So we've been going straight down, straight in line. Now I want to be able to still drop through the heel, but say rotate my toes in as I do this. Or drop through the heel, but rotate my toes outward as I do this. So straight, in, out. Straight, in, out. Okay. So giving myself those options for being able to rotate my leg and spiral through with this kick just means you can put it in some different places and you can fire it off at different angles, which is quite useful. And again, key is still want this to be super casual, super relaxed. This is Tai Chi after all. It is a lazy person's art. We're taking the laziest possible option here. I'm not trying to kick anybody in the head. That's too much work. I want their knees or their shins or their ankles. I don't want to have to lift my leg that high, really. And if you want to take out a knee this way, you still have to lift your leg pretty damn high. As a matter of fact, I'd say that's probably the best case scenario for why you would train to be able to kick someone in the head. It is so when you are actually in a fight, you can get your knee up to a point where you would be able to kick someone in the head. But that's just to get your knee up. It's not to actually, at least in a hand-to-hand fight, I don't know, if you're on an ancient battlefield and you got to try and kick someone off of a horse, sorry, that's probably not going to go well for you. Yeah, you do what you got to do if you're on an ancient battlefield. But for us, though, really we would do it just to be able to get our knee up. Okay, so that's our sort of most basic kick, or the one I would consider the most important, the most useful to have in your toolkit. If you are going to only do one kick, that's the kick to do. As Bruce Lee said, I would rather face someone who has practiced 10,000 kicks one time than one kick 10,000 times. So if there's a case to be made for one kick to practice, that's the one to do, right? Because you can do it easy, it's sneaky, it's multi-purpose, because you got that spare knee in there as well, and then can kick it off in all sorts of different angles. Great single leg balance training, all that good stuff. And you can probably do that much later into life than, kicking someone in the head. And if you're doing it much later into life, you might be the guy who studied one kick 100,000 times. And ooh, you would be fearsome. So that's our one kick. But I am going to bring up another one because it's so ubiquitous as a just Chinese martial arts kick that when it comes to Tai Chi forms, it's mostly just sort of implied that you would be able to do this. Like they don't even bother. And that would be the kick that is sort of implied by our strum the guitar or our white crane spreads her wings. And that is the snap kick. Right? And the snap kick basically just means we're going to lift our knee up somewhere like horizontal, parallel to the horizon is all you really need with a snap kick. Yes, you can train them to go much higher, but I would say waist height parallel is kind of the benchmark you want to hit. And if you can do that really well, you're already kicking, well, whatever would be in the way of that. Now, to get into this, to snap into it, we would usually want to come through a nail stance, meaning as we move a leg up here, we come into some sort of a nail stance. Our knee raises up from here. Our foot keeps coming up, almost vertical up this leg. And then from there, you snap out and you can return it back if you want to keep snapping out, or it comes down and winds up in something like our white crane. So this is a kick that actually winds up giving us white crane. So it's like white crane is the end of it. It's like, oh yeah, we just kicked someone there, right? Or strum the guitar. Oh yeah, we just kicked someone there, right? Because you would be stepping back, chamber, kick, boom. Stepping back, chamber, boom. All right. So if you're going to train 2 kicks, that's probably the one. Train your stomp kick on a few different angles and start thinking about doing a snap kick. And the snap kick is just, like I say, knee comes up to parallel, foot hanging down, leg snaps out, and then place it down. Knee up, snap, leg comes down. Knee up, snap, leg comes down. Knee up, snap, leg comes down. And then be able to place it, that foot coming down, anywhere. So there we go. What did we cover tonight? We covered the importance of doing this, right? And a couple minutes here, a couple minutes there, if you haven't heard me say it before. First benchmark is to do 5 minutes like we did at the beginning of this class. After that, start adding more time to it. Goal is 15 to 20 minutes every day for the rest of your life. Take your time getting there. Second thing we started talking about was our single-legged stances, kind of their importance. We trained 1 minute per leg for a couple of different stances there. Showed you some of the other ones. Anything that you come across in your form that is a single-legged stance, I don't know all the forms, so pick one out that you like from your form or something that is challenging for you. Start building time on that one. And then once you get that, you should find that it starts to smooth out your transitions if you're having trouble with that in your form, if you're at that place in your practice. But once you do that, start challenging yourself a little bit by learning some just basic low-level kicks. Nothing above the waist, and it's really just those 2 kicks. You have the stomp kick, 1, toe in variation, toe out variation, and then you have a snap kick. Boom. Right. Learn those 2, play around with them, have fun with them, walk around your space. always go on about that. Challenge yourself, try this in different terrain, kick your way up the stairs, kick your way down the stairs, take it outside into nature, have fun, play around with it, stick it in your form, and above all, have fun. So thank you very much for joining me tonight. I hope that was some inspiration to you. Again, any questions, let me know. Anything you would like to see me sort of cover, break down in the future, just fire them in the comments. As always, it's been a pleasure. We will see you next week at 6:30 for, I don't know, whatever I come up with for that one, or whatever you ask me to come up with for that one. Take care.